guys, welcome to my channel. My name is ReadingBear and I hope you are ready for some more stories. And today, we'll take a look at some new I Don't Work Here Lady content. If you enjoyed my content, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and post some bear emojis in the comment. And now, let's dive right into the stories.
The first story is titled A Man Jabbed Me in the Chest with His Finger at Costco. I had just gotten off an 11-hour shift and needed to get some groceries after work. I picked up my boyfriend on the way to Costco and away we went. We got most of the things we needed and were waiting in line. I don't know about all Costco stores, but in my city it is busy all the time. The lineups are massive, the cashiers are very quick though. I'm standing in line with my boyfriend when I remember I needed to get dry shampoo, and Costco is the only place that sells 3 cans of it for $20. It's an awesome deal, and for someone that works early shifts like me, it's a lifesaver. I didn't bring my purse inside and had my keys in my hand, so I just put them around my neck with the lanyard and told my boyfriend I'd be right back. I was wearing black pants, a black top, and a Pikachu lanyard around my neck. Costco employees don't necessarily have a uniform. I'm pretty sure they can wear whatever they want as long as they have a name tag. I'm walking towards the checkouts holding my dry shampoo and a man walks directly in front of me, stopping. I did a classic Canadian smile and oh, sorry, and tried to get around him, but he stepped to the side and got back in front of me. Road equals rude dude. Road. Can you tell me where the large jars of pickles are? Me. No, sorry. I'm really not sure. Road. What do you mean you're not sure? Where are they? He raised his voice and I was immediately in defense mode. Me. Wanting to get out of the situation as fast as possible. I don't work here, I don't know where they are. I'm sorry. I tried to get around him and he stepped in front of me again. Road. Who is your manager? This is when he poked the center of my chest with his sausage finger. I immediately stepped back and gave him the dirtiest look I could give to anyone. Road. I need to talk to your manager now. Where is he? You are very rude. Me. My manager's name is John and I highly doubt he would give a crap if I helped you find something or not at Costco because I don't work here. Get the duck out of my way. I managed to get around Road and he shouted at me to come back over to him. Excuse me? WHO, are you? Thankfully he didn't follow me, and I couldn't see him anymore after wading through the sea of people. I finally got back to my boyfriend in line and told him what happened as we got back to the checkout, and the cashiers thought it was hilarious. I'll admit, I wish I didn't curse at him in public, but I was feeling a fight or flight response and he wouldn't let me pass. Not my finest moment, but definitely not his either. The next story is titled A Karen Insisting I'm Her Lyft Driver. For context, I've been a Lyft driver for 4 years but haven't since COVID started. I don't have my amp in the window, but I still have the sticker on the car. I have an online order for pickup at Walmart for supplies for the incoming hurricane. So, I'm driving into the parking lot and am searching for the pickup parking spots. I drive by the exit door, looking for these spots, when I see a woman eyeing my car as she walks out of the store. At the same time, a car attempts to pull out and nearly hits me but doesn't. As I start to move forward to continue my search, the woman stands next to my car, yelling, and pointing at my car, then her saying, "You're looking for me." I vigorously shake my head no, pull away, and continue my search. After I found a cart guy in the parking lot, he told me they were back the way I came. Crap. So, I drive back the way I came, and I can see the same woman standing by the exit, glaring at my car. I avoid eye contact and finally find the pickup parking. I pull up and wait, eating a bit of my dinner while I do so. As I'm eating my mac and cheese, I hear someone angrily yell, "Are you not a Lyft driver?" From my passenger side. The same woman had walked 5 rows from the exit to track me down. She begins yelling and gesturing at my sticker and asking, "Why aren't you pick me up?" I felt at this point, ignoring her would be less than ideal, so I rolled down my passenger window just enough. I looked her in the eye and said calmly, "Ma'am, I'm not working right now." She throws her hands in the air, looks around wildly, and says, "Give me a ride." I told her I am not her Lyft driver and suggested she contact her driver through the app. She yells, "Well, ducking great. Where's my Lyft driver then?" I just quickly rolled the window back up as she stormed away. I feel like this shouldn't have to be said, but please double check your app with the Lyft, Uber you're getting into. And don't stalk down strangers in their cars. The next story is titled No Random Lady, Your Bratty Daughter Cannot Ride My Horse. I, 20F, was grooming my horse Clyde yesterday when a woman came up to me, tugging along a kid around 6 or 7. For context, the stable hands, trainers don't need to wear a specific clothes, although they usually wear the stable shirts to be more recognizable towards new people. I was wearing some tan breeches and a red polo, nothing really special, but I tended to get confused as staff pretty often, which I understand. The Karen was wearing way too expensive looking clothes to be at a barn, but I assumed she was just going to drop off the kid and come back at the end of the lesson. As I saw her direct her attention towards me, I prepared my whole speech about how I didn't work there and where I could direct you to go. Before I could even get a word out, she launched into a tirade about how terrible the service was and how she had spent hours trying to find someone to help her. I doubt it was more than 5 minutes, the stable wasn't that big. Oh, I began, being cut off by her screaming in my face to let her kid ride my horse. I tried to calmly explain that no, her kid couldn't ride my horse and no, she cannot let her ride any other horses in the barn. Not matter what I said, I couldn't convince her that I didn't work there and that couldn't just let her daughter ride. Clyde is not fully trained as I recently got him, and still very young and inexperienced. I wouldn't even let a kid groom him, as he tends to nip at people. The kid proceeded to try to duck past me and try to pet his nose. I grabbed the kid's shoulder and gently pushed her back, genuinely worried about Clyde biting her. Karen gasped and screamed, "My daughter has every right to touch that horse. She's probably even better with horses than you are. Besides, you're just a worker, so you don't you dare push my kid." That made me blow my casket. Your daughter is not going to touch my horse, he is not suitable with kids and could injure your daughter. Your daughter does not know more than me, I've been riding for 15 years, and I don't work here. Leave me alone, I shouted, wanting to punch that Karen straight in the face. At this point my horse was starting to freak out and I turned to lead him back to his stall and just calm him and myself. Some band staff came running over, trying to ask what was happening. The woman kept screaming at me, but I just couldn't deal with her anymore and walked away, since the staff had her occupied. My friend, who worked there, told me that they had to threaten to call the cops to get her to leave, because she kept demanding to have her child ride every single horse she saw. She is also banned from the stable now, so happy ending at least? The next story is titled "You Need to Fix Your Fence 'Cause I'm Getting a Pool." My parents had a wooden 6-foot privacy fence put in around the backyard with posts facing the neighbors 'cause my little brother was a runner. A couple of years ago one of the posts was starting to come loose and the neighbor said they would take care of it since it was on their side. They never did. That Thanksgiving the loose section of the fence finally broke off at the ground, leaving a huge hole. Since both the neighbors and my parents had dogs, my parents put up a green mesh fence over the hole until the fence could be fixed. On Mother's Day my mom gets a FB message from the neighbor telling her she needs to hurry up and replace the fence since they are getting a pool. My mom asked them if they could help replace the fence since the post is still stuck in the ground and they couldn't get it out alone. The neighbor decides that instead of helping in absolutely any way that matters, they were going to list all the needed materials along with costs and claimed it was very simple and left it at that. My parents decided it wasn't worth the money or the effort to replace that part of the fence with wood since one day it'll probably break again and they would get zero help. They decided that this time they would go with chain link, and even made sure it was a 5-foot fence so it would be in code for the neighbors to have their pool. The neighbors immediately showed disgust towards the new fence and complained about my parents not getting a wood or vinyl fence. So because they didn't get the fence they wanted, they built a vinyl one about a foot away from my parents. But the issues didn't end there. Because of the foot of space between the fences, the weeds were growing wild and all spilling over onto my parents' property. My mom asked the neighbors to do something about it since they decided to put up the second fence, and they assured her they would, when they felt like it. My mom ended up going to the city about it, and after a short survey they said the space between the fences was the neighbors' responsibility since they had their trash cans against my parents' fence further down the driveway. The city worker wrote them a notice and left. The neighbors obviously weren't happy about it, and with vague threats of calling children's services and the police, she told my parents to stay the duck away from her family. But ultimately did take care of her weeds. My parents have stuck with the agreement of staying away and happily watched as the whole family had to be outside with shovels digging themselves out of a foot of snow while my dad owns a snowblower. The next story is titled "Ma'am, just because I'm Latino doesn't mean I work at this Mexican restaurant." For context, where I live, our state has recently allowed restaurants to open indoor dine-in service with expanded capacity. A couple of days ago, I go into one of my favorite restaurants, a Mexican restaurant, to pick up a takeout order. When I get there, the hostess, owner told me it might take an extra few minutes because they've been bombarded by orders. Not an issue, I just wait. While I'm waiting for the hostess to come back with my food from the kitchen, I see some people I know at a table eating. They wave me over so I go to say hi and talk to them, in Spanish, we're all Latinos, while I'm waiting. Next thing I know I hear a woman say, "Excuse me." Excuse me. It took me a minute to figure out that she was talking to me, because I looked around and didn't see the actual waitress inside. She was in the outdoor seating area. I make eye contact with this woman, and ask, "Is there something I can help you with?" She rolls an eyes and replies, "Yes. I've been standing here for 10 minutes and you refuse to even acknowledge me. I want a table for me and my friends." I tell her that I don't work at the restaurant, which she refuses to believe. "I see you talking to seated customers and you clearly look like you work here. Mind you, I'm dressed in jeans, a sweater, and a mask, that's it." I firmly tell her that I don't work here, to leave me alone, and just turn away completely as I see the hostess, owner come back from the kitchen. This is when she starts yelling. The hostess runs up and asks what's going on. The woman tells her, "You have this rude, insert racial slur about Latinos, working here that refuses to do her job. All she wants to do is talk to her friends at that table," points at the people I was talking to. "I've been waiting for over 10 minutes for a table while she ignores me. This is ridiculous that you would hire someone like that." At this point, everybody stops what they're doing after she called me a slur. Didn't hurt my feelings at all because I know this is coming from a total random lady who is just the worst. The hostess, owner tells her that I don't work here, that calling me a slur is disgusting, and to get out and never come back. The woman just stutters a few times before storming out, saying, probably racial, stuff under her breath. I pay for my food, leave a huge tip, all while the owner is apologizing to me about what happened. I told her it was all good, and honestly that it was way more embarrassing for the screaming woman who had all the color drop from her face when the owner told her that I was a customer and for her to get out. The next story is titled Malicious, the Karen Crusher. I'm not entirely sure if this fits here, but it does involve misidentifying someone's profession, though unconventionally for this sub. Still, I think you guys will get a kick out of it. I sure did. This is a story about a friend, Matthias. He's from Sweden, visiting in the States for a while. He has no discernible accent, but he does occasionally force one for dramatic effect or to catch people off guard. We're approaching the checkout line in a small grocery store, grabbing some Gatorades when we hear it. The howls of a Karen, berating the cashier over an apparently expired coupon. The Karen was a stocky, pale woman of about 50, and short with her hair up in a knot, wearing an unseasonably warm faux fur jacket over her tight t-shirt and shorts that didn't quite cover her ass cheeks. If a blind hooker dressed herself in the dark, you might get something close to this. We only caught the tail end of the tirade, but heard the Karen spewing the typical idiot, useless and fired amongst other incoherent grunts and whines and growls. Note: I will paraphrase here, as I can't even write a Swedish accent, so just imagine one. Without missing a beat, Matthias jumps into action, approaching the Karen. "Oh wow," he exclaims, looking back to me in a deliberately embellished accent. "Do you know who this is? This is Miss Sandy Bottoms. The most favorite vintage porn star in all of Sweden." I thought he was serious at first, before the subtle wink. Still, I didn't know what he was doing, only that he was up to something diabolically mischievous. He then proceeds to gush over her body of work. Turning his attention to the cashier, he continues, "You must respect this woman, she is famous. Haven't you seen her films? It's not just porn, it's erotic art. She was the mom in Summerream Schoolgirls. She practically invented the ping-pong ball trick. She was a pioneer. Many people don't know this, but the adult industry used to be very misogynistic. But when she saw a glass ceiling, she blasted through it, firing little plastic pussy balls like a howitzer." I tried so hard to keep my composure, but there was so much wrong with that sentence. Tears were welling up in my eyes as I tried not to laugh. "To every woman on the planet, I'd like to apologize for my friend." He continues, "Don't laugh, she's won awards." The Karen, now meekly trying to get a word in, "I think you might be mistaken. No, you did win those awards, and you deserve them. Your movie, The Equestrian, was a masterpiece, wasn't it?" He said, directing that last question to me. I could only shake my head. I didn't dare open my mouth. I knew where he was going now. "You have to see it. It's about a nun in a 14th century convent and her forbidden love with a horse. It sounds strange, but the story is beautiful. Matthias, now looking back to Karen, I even won the online auction for the riding whip you used on Mother Superior in that movie. I wish I had it here, I would ask you to autograph it. At this point, Karen is still silent, in absolute shock, wide-eyed, unblinking. Her lips are moving, but no sound is coming out, and she's shaking her head. Then there's a large inhaling gasp, like she had forgotten to breathe until just now, and she scurries quickly out the door, abandoning her shopping and coupons. The cashier is dumbfounded, she has no idea what just happened. Her brain hadn't processed it all yet. She quietly leans forward and whispers, "So, that lady, she's a porn star?" Matthias, now in a totally American accent, says, "Nah. I have no idea who that idiot was." The next story is titled Woman Wants Me Fired from Somewhere I Don't Work, without actually speaking to me. This takes place in a care home where I would visit an old neighbor. I will call her Ruby in this tale. Ruby was basically bedridden and often napped while she had visitors. She also had a sweet tooth and loved her ice cream. If she was sleeping when I brought ice cream for her, I had permission to use the fridge in the day room to store this. Visitors could also get themselves a drink there for themselves and those they were visiting. Ruby's room door had a squeaky hinge. This plays a role. I went to visit Ruby with some ice cream. I signed the visitor's book and let myself in with the code. As I was closing the door behind me, it was tugged open by the woman in the title. She huffed and nudged past me. Ruby was sleeping, so I put my bag down and went to put the ice cream in the day room. As I passed the next room, the door opened and woman looked out. I nodded and went on my way. I chatted to one of the staff about Ruby and returned to her room. Not to make this too long over the visit, I popped in and out of Ruby's room a few times to get her ice cream, make her a cup of tea, etc. Each time I left the room, the woman would pop her head out and scowl at me. I said goodbye to Ruby at the end of my visit, and as I was signing out, the woman left the office and pointed me out to the manager of the home, who looked puzzled, and the woman stormed out. The manager waited until she left and then burst out laughing. The woman had just spent about 15 minutes complaining that a member of staff had ignored her, not offered her or her mother any ice cream, tea, coffee, etc. Ignored her requests for an update on her mother's care, and wanted the rude, uncaring, lazy person fired at once. So apparently that was me, the person she had never said a single word to. SMH at that one. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel and post some bear emojis in the comments.